Tosi Maharani Jaya Tosi Devi Jaya Tosi Maharani Tosi Maharani Jaya Tosi Devi Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
So it's Disappearance Day of Isvara Puri. If you want to get it's on the last page of the songbook, the song we sing. Very, very last page of the songbook if you want to follow along there. 29. Leela Shakti did 27 and 28 on Friday. And then it was Prabhupada class yesterday. So. I'll be doing 29. Even though there's a purport, I'm going to do 29 and 30. I figure nobody will. There are some places like Bhakti Center in New York, they have all the verses set for you for the month. Like you sign up for a day and they already tell you exactly, yeah. You can't change it because it's for everybody, you know. It's So today is the disappearance day of Isvara Puri, so we'll sing Saparshada Gora Viraha Vilapa, which is said on the last page, 78 of the songbook. Yeyanilo Premadana Koruna Prachur Hey no Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur Kahamora Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan Kahadasa Raghunata Patita Pavan Kaha Bata Yuga Kaha Kaviran Eka Kale Kota Gela Goranatarar Pasane Kuti Bomata Anale Pasiva Goranga Gunera Neri Kota Gele Pabo Se Saba Sangira Sange Ye Koilo Bilas Se Sangana Paya Kande Narotamodas He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srinivasacharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against a rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottama Das simply weeps. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Asatara Satashi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shri Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Shri Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Mathura Dham ki jai, Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Gangamaya Jamuna Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatyade Satarane. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvoitam Sadvadutam Padijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Vanchakalpatubhyascha Kripasindhivyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnaveva Namo Namaha. So today is the 24th of February, 2025 in Hillsborough, North Carolina. It's the disappearance day of Isvara Puri. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Isvara Puri and then go on to the Bhagavatam. So in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antya-lila, chapter 11, there's a description of when Isvara Puri came to Navadvip. So he came there as an Ekadandi sannyasi, apparently a impersonalist sannyasi, and he was not recognized as being a great Vaishnava. However, sometimes when the devotees would sing in ecstatic kirtan, Isvara Puri would also exhibit ecstatic symptoms, thus revealing his actual position. Now, at this time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not appear himself to be a Vaishnava. He appeared to be simply absorbed in logic and philosophy. And in fact, most of the devotees in Navadvip avoided him because whenever they would see him, he would start to argue with them. You've all met people like this, right? So he would just argue with them, and whatever they would present, he would defeat them. And it would just go on, and it was always on these ordinary, logical, philosophical, socio-political topics that weren't related to Krishna. And so the devotees, when they would see him, they would cross to the other side of the street. So they would avoid him. During this time, again, Isvara Puri came to Navadvip, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invited Isvara Puri to his home for prasad, and Mother Sachi cooked a very nice meal for him. Isvara Puri stayed at the home of Gopinath Acharya. Gopinath Acharya is the husband of the sister of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And later on in Jagannath Puri, Gopinath Acharya is the one who convinces Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyway, Isvara Puri stayed for 7 months at the home of Gopinath Acharya. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at that time was a householder and a school teacher. And he started becoming a school teacher at the age of 14. Nowadays we have this idea that people can't start their career until they're 20-something. But in those days, people married young and they started their career young. So he was already a school teacher. He ran his own school, actually, at the age of 14. So after he finished teaching for the day, he would go and visit Isvara Puri. And Isvara Puri felt great ecstasy in the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he felt that I'm feeling the same ecstasy as if I were in the presence of Krishna. And when he said this to Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu was actually very pleased. So then going on to Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi-lila, chapter 17, this is after Jagannath Mishra, Lord Chaitanya's father, had passed away, and Mahaprabhu went to Gaya to perform the Shraddha ceremony. So we find in pretty much all the old cultures of the world, and even in most modern cultures, there's some ceremonies you do when a loved one passes away, obviously right at that time, but also in many cultures, there's also ceremonies at the death anniversary of that person. And sometimes also once a year, there's a general ceremony done. And these ceremonies help to keep that departed ancestor in the higher planets. It's like you're depositing something in their karmic account. Like, let's say I go someplace for a vacation, and I'm there for a vacation, I'm not making money, I'm just spending money. Right? So when I run out of my money, I have to come home. But let's say somebody at home keeps putting money in my account. So then I can stay there. So these ceremonies, they're designed like this, that your ancestors have gone, hopefully, to the heavenly planets, but they're using up their own karma. So you're depositing good karma in their account so they can stay there, and as long as there's descendants, this is why it says our debt to our ancestors is paid when we have children. So as long as we have children, and they have children, and they have children, and they have children, and you train all of the children to offer this Shraddha ceremony, then the ancestors can stay in the heavenly planets until you run out of your line, or until there's a devastation or destruction. So he goes there to offer Shraddha, and when he's there, he meets again, Isvara Puri is here again. And at that time, Mahaprabhu was going to many places to offer Shraddha to his father. He was visiting many holy places. And at Isvara Puri comes to where Mahaprabhu is staying. And he's there. His wife was back in Navadvip. His wife and mother were back in Navadvip. So Mahaprabhu was doing his own cooking. So which is interesting, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing his own cooking. So he had cooked and he had offered to the Lord. And at that time, Isvara Puri shows up. And so Mahaprabhu offers him the prasadam. But he had only cooked enough for himself. So there was only enough for one person. And there was some discussion between Isvara Puri and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about who should eat the prasadam. Isvara Puri said, well, we'll divide it in half. And Mahaprabhu said, well, there won't be enough. I only cooked for one person. So Isvara Puri ended up eating all of the food that Mahaprabhu had cooked. And then later Mahaprabhu went and cooked again for himself. And Vrindavan Das Thakur says that the goddess of fortune herself invisibly entered the kitchen to cook for her Lord when he was cooking for himself. And during this time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Isvara Puri for initiation into the Sampradaya mantras. And Vrindavan Das Thakur said he was initiated into a 10-syllable mantra, which as far as I know is Gopijana Balavaya Swaha. This 10-syllable mantra is also mentioned by Sanatana Goswami in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And we could talk for a very, very long time about the differences in mantras. Those of you who are interested in this topic, I refer you to the paper by the Shastric Advisory Council on the Brahma Gayatri mantra that's up on the GBC website, where we discuss the different mantras that are given in the Sampradaya. When Isvara Puri was asked to give Mahaprabhu initiation, he said, I would give you my life. What to speak of initiation. It's quite interesting, of course, that personalities like Isvara Puri are in what we call Vatsalya Bhav, or parental bhav. Vatsa literally means a calf, a baby cow. Just like in English, if we talk about a child, we call them a baby goat. Right? We say these are kids. So in Hindi and in Sanskrit, they say they're calves. So this Vatsalya Bhav, you see the Lord like your kid, like your calf. So this is that particular ecstasy that Isvara Puri had. And then Mahaprabhu, after receiving this mantra from his guru, was absorbed in chanting this mantra in ecstasy. And of course, when he returned to Navadvip, he returned as a Vaishnava. He'd actually told some of the devotees, someday I will be a Vaishnava. And then when he came, he was such a Vaishnava, even that his students became very disturbed. That why is our teacher now all of a sudden talking about Krishna? And just like many of us, if we were not born in the Hare Krishna movement, when we take up Krishna consciousness, many times our friends and relatives become disturbed. Why are you just talking about God? Isn't it? Why don't you talk about, as Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Instruction, socio-political schemes? Why aren't you talking about such things? Why are you just talking about God? So Mahaprabhu was demonstrating, of course, he was also enjoying this mood of being a devotee of himself. And part of this mood of being a devotee of himself is going through a kind of conversion process, even though he was raised in a family of devotees. He himself went through this process of, I've decided I want to be a devotee. And I've decided that I want to take shelter of a guru. And demonstrating that we need the mercy of guru, we need the mercy of devotees in order to awaken our natural Krishna consciousness. So I want to We could talk about Isvara Puri for weeks, definitely. I would like to go on to the Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 60. We're going to read text 29 and text 30. We have 29 on the board. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Mama Vaidarbhya Suyeta Jane Tvam Mad Parayanam Twadvacha Shrotukamena. Sorry. Shvelya Charitamangane. Please check. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Mamai Vaidarbhya Suyeta Jane Tammad Parayanam Twadvachasro Kamena Swelya Mangane. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Mama Vaidarbhya Shuyeta Jane Tvam Mat Parayanam Twadvacha Shrotukamena Swalya Charitamangane. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Mamai Vaidarbhya Shuyeta Jane Tvam Mat Parayanam Twadvacha Shrotukamena Shvelya Charitamangane. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Mama Vaidarbhya Dusheta Jane Tammat Parayanam Twadvacha Shrotukamena Swalya Charitamangane. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Lord said, Ma, do not, Ma, with me, Vaidarbhi, O Vaidarbhi, Asuyetaha, be displeased, Jane, I know, Tvam, you, Mat, to me, Parayanam, fully dedicated, Twat, your, Vachaha, words, Shrotu, to hear, Kamena, desiring, Shevelya, in jest, Acharitam, acted, Angane, my dear lady. BBT translation. The Supreme Lord said, O Vaidarbhi, do not be displeased with me. I know you are fully devoted to me. I only spoke in jest, dear lady, because I wanted to hear what you would say. BBT purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Lord Krishna spoke the present verse because he thought that lovely Rukmini might be afraid he would again say something to disturb her, or that she might be angry at what he had done. We're going to go to commentaries of our acharyas. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He's in his commentary, he says, Krishna said, quote, He loves to do this. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur loves to add dialogue. Krishna said, quote, "If you give up your body, how will I be able to bear such a great burden? I will then have to give up my body too." And Rukmini would say, "Having already created problems for me while making such false displays of love by embracing me and wiping away my tears, do you now want to cause me further suffering?" Fearing such a response from Rukmini, Krishna spoke this verse, quote, "O Vaidarbhi, do not be displeased with me," unquote. Rukmini might have replied, quote, "Oh, I am not displeased with you, who are the most merciful, but upon hearing you say that I should go to another man for my own benefit, after having suffered sorrow by staying beside you, I fainted in bliss. Why did you wake me from that swoon? If I had remained in that state a moment longer, both you and I could have attained the supreme nirvana." Fearing such sarcastic words from Rukmini, Krishna then said, quote, "I know that you are fully dedicated to me, having no other goal but me." Rukmini, quote, "Then why did you speak such cruel words, Krishna? Desiring to hear some crooked words from you, O beautiful one, I spoke some joking, untrue words." Okay, and going to Srila Sanatana Goswami. "Do not find fault with me, Rukmini. You wanted to give me up, though I am fully dedicated to you. Why should I not feel hatred? I know that you are devoted to me. Therefore, never under any circumstances can I give you up." And then Rukmini would say, "Why did you speak like that?" Krishna would reply, "I wanted to hear your words." Rukmini would say, "Since you are said to be truthful, you should not have spoken lies." Krishna would reply, "I only wanted to have some fun, O Rukmini." Possessing beautiful limbs, Angane, he praises her. And Srila Jiva Goswami says practically the same thing. Okay, we are going to go on to the next verse. Mukham cha prema samramba spuritadaram ikshitam katakshe parun apangam sundara bhukuti tatam. I also wanted to see your face with lips trembling in loving anger, the reddish corners of your eyes throwing sidelong glances, and the line of your beautiful eyebrows knit in a frown. BBT purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains here that normally, by the Lord's transcendental desire, his pure devotees reciprocate with him in such a way that they satisfy his spiritual desires. But Rukmini's love was so strong that her unique mood predominated in this situation, and thus instead of becoming angry, she fainted and fell to the ground. Far from displeasing Krishna, however, she increased his transcendental ecstasy by exhibiting her all-encompassing love for him. So going on to the Acharya's commentaries. First, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In this verse, Krishna gives other reasons for joking with Rukmini. Krishna said, quote, "I wanted to see your face with lips trembling in loving anger, your eyebrows furrowed, and your reddish eyes throwing angry sidelong glances." If that was Krishna's desire, then why did Rukmini not comply and show anger? Krishna's Icha Shakti, desire potency, is under his control, but prema controls Krishna. Consequently, next to prema, his Icha Shakti has no power. In order to increase Krishna's ecstasy, prema sometimes goes against the desire of the Lord. That is the situation here. In the Staibhav, that's our basic relationship with Krishna, of Madhurya Ras, Rukmini and Krishna's other consorts display 7 types of love. This is all nicely explained also by Srila Rupa Goswami. Prema, pure love; sneha, affection; mana, jealous anger; pranaya, attachment; raga, passion; anuraga, intense attachment; and bhava, ecstatic love. Those are both types and degrees of one's basic relationship in romantic rasa. At the proper moment, one of these 7 staibhavas will manifest and become prominent. Thus, when Rukmini was fanning Krishna, the staibhav of anuraga had arisen. And because it was promenaded by the sanchari bhavs are moving transient emotions of humility, she experienced remorse, anxiety, and bewilderment. However, she did not experience affectionate anger or the casting of sidelong glances of Krishna. These symptoms would arise later when the sthai bhav of jealousy would appear. Because Rukmini's affection is grita sneha, ghee-like affection, her mana does not manifest, her anger does not manifest in the extreme. Satyabhama, however, with her madhu sneha, honey-like affection, exhibits anger even in anuraga, and gives Krishna immense pleasure with her trembling lips, angry glances, and furrowed brows. Okay, going to Srila Sanatan Goswami. It is not proper to say such words which caused suffering, Rukmini would say. Krishna would say, that is true, but I wanted to see your special physical beauty. Though the words anger and love are in a compound, they should also be joined with the next two phrases. The list is in order of increasing excellence of beauty or anger. If he did not speak in this way, she would not have become angry and her beauty would not have manifested. Okay, and going on to Srila Jiva Goswami. I wanted to see your lips trembling because of anger and love. The three phrases modify mukham or face. So we have something really strange going on here. Devotees generally act in such a way to fulfill Krishna's desires. That's what it means to be a pure devotee. Prabhupada talks about oneness with the Lord, meaning a oneness of interest. That the devotee's interest and the Lord's interest are in harmony. Prabhupada gives the example of the limbs of our body. It's interesting that Krishna calls Rukmini Angane, which means limbs, beautiful limbed one. Just the little side note that women are addressed in a wide variety of ways in the scriptures, not only in one way. But the limbs of the body are meant to serve the body. Prabhupada would talk about if you ask your hand to do something. My dear hand, pick up this cup of water and put it to my lips. And then you want the hand to do that. Right? Sometimes people have something wrong with their body that when they ask their hand, the hand doesn't do it. It does something else. So conditioned souls are like some kind of hand of some sort of diseased person that doesn't act in accordance with the will of the body. And devotees, liberated souls, are persons like in a healthy body where your limbs do what you want them to do. But sometimes the pure devotees appear to act outside of Krishna's desires, and yet doing so can satisfy Krishna more than them doing exactly what he wanted or expected. So when a conditioned soul acts contrary to Krishna's desires, this is a diseased condition and doesn't satisfy either Krishna or the living entity. It doesn't really satisfy anyone, nor is it able to satisfy other living entities. Prabhupada points out over and over again that in conditioned life, we cannot even fully satisfy anyone else. Have you all had this experience? Can you perfectly satisfy your parents? Anybody? Perfectly satisfy their parents. Any of you who are married, can you perfectly satisfy your spouse? If you have children, can you perfectly satisfy your children? You just can't. Right? Can we perfectly satisfy ourselves? Is anyone here 100% satisfied with themselves? No. When we're acting out of sync with Krishna, nobody's really happy. Right? Sometimes I'm happy with myself, but not always. Sometimes other people are happy with me, but not always. And sometimes I may do something that pleases Krishna, where they say even broken clocks are right twice a day. So even sometimes materialistic people may end up satisfying the Lord, but not always. And so there's disharmony Just like we're about to have for Shivaratri these beautiful dance performances, and part of the beauty of the dance performances is the harmony, that things are in sync, that the person's movements are in sync with the music. If there's more than one dancer, that the movements are in sync between the dancers, that the movements are in sync with the meaning of the song, not just the rhythm and the melody of the song, but they're doing specific mudras and eye gestures and movements that are in harmony with the meaning, and then it's very pleasing. But sometimes they have their very little inexperienced dancers perform, and you'll see that they're not always in sync. And sometimes they're not in sync with each other or not in sync with the music, and because they're just like maybe 4 or 5 years old, it doesn't really matter. But it's not that same kind of pleasing experience as when everything is in sync. And even in our human relationships, that time when we really feel in sync with someone, when we really feel that our mentality, our emotions, our desires are working in harmony. We call it synergy, when the whole is more than the sum of the parts, a group working together that makes something greater than each of them could do. So we have a little idea of this in this world, but basically our suffering comes because we're out of harmony. There's such a nice discussion in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam when it's asked, is God partial? And the answer is no, but reality favors sattva, which is almost a tautology. Like reality favors that which is real. And I always give the analogy that if you're in this room and you want to exit the room, you exit through one of the doors. If you try to exit through one of the windows, you'll not have a pleasant experience. Right? If you try to exit through one of the walls, you won't have a pleasant experience. And that's not the fault of the architect or the builder. They didn't create the walls and the windows to cause you pain. So it's not that Krishna's created reality to cause us pain, but if we're out of sync with reality, we cause ourselves pain. And so many other people pain. If I try to exit through the window, then I would cause a disturbance for many other living beings in addition to myself. So the solution is to get in sync with the Lord. That's the solution. Right? Rishikesha Rishikena Sevana Bhakti Ruchite. That instead of trying to please my senses independently, I work to please the senses of the Lord, just like my hand works to please the senses of the body. And by my hand taking water and putting it in my mouth, it doesn't appear that my hand is benefited at all, but actually it is. Because when I put water in my mouth, that water is distributed to my hand. Yes? Now, of course, sometimes the hands seem to work just for themselves, like I take in this cold weather, I have to put lotion on my hands or my fingers will crack. But even that is done for the benefit of the body. You understand? So if I'm putting lotion on my hands, that's so my hands can serve the body. So this is the behavior of liberated souls. They're acting in sync with the desires of the Lord. Even when they appear to be doing something for themselves, it's all in sync with the desires of the Lord. However, sometimes we conditioned souls understand this working in harmony with the Lord to be mechanical or like a machine. So like I have my little recorder here, and when I push the record button, I expect it to record. When I push the stop button, I expect it to stop. I expect it to act in sync with my desires, and if it doesn't, I get it repaired or replaced. But my recorder has no independent desires and no independent ability to act. Therefore, my ability to enjoy any sort of relationship with my recorder is extremely limited. You know, we might talk to our cars and we might talk to our computer and our phones and our shoes or whatever, but we really can't have a relationship with them. We say Krishna doesn't enjoy matter. What do we mean by that? Krishna gets pleasure from reciprocating with life. And anything that's alive is complex, mysterious, and unpredictable. If something is completely 100% predictable and completely 100% always does what you want, when you want, how you want, it's a machine. I was asked the other day in a podcast, what's better, to follow orders or to come up with your own initiative and ask for blessings? And I said, they're both wanted. If everybody who did service at the temple went to ask Leela Shakti about every little thing, she would just be annoyed. Should I open the door now? Should I close the door now? Should I clean up the flower petals that are here? I saw a piece of garbage in the field across the street. Should I pick it up? I mean, I actually saw some garbage in the field. Could you imagine if I called Leela Shakti or if I called Bir Krishna Swami in India? Am I allowed to pick up the garbage? You know, people who are in charge, they want also people who will take some initiative. And if it's a big initiative, then you ask permission. I don't have to ask permission to pick up the garbage. But if I want to create a garden, then I have to ask permission. Hey, can I create a garden here? And they're, oh, we're so happy you're taking initiative. One of the elements of love is being fascinated with the unpredictability and personality of the living being that you love. And then also, Krishna likes to be surprised. Don't you all like to be surprised? Krishna likes to be surprised. Krishna likes to be fascinated. Krishna likes to unravel mysteries. Prabhupada often says how we can understand God by examining ourselves. Mamai vamso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. We're a small part of God. One thing all humans like to do is unravel mysteries. That's the psychology behind all the clickbait on the internet. They present some mystery. A really good teacher sets up a mystery at the beginning of the class that people will stay to have unraveled and revealed, even if it's about a topic people aren't normally interested in. Krishna likes responsive games. Krishna likes a variety of individual personalities. So although he had this desire to have this sort of loving argument with Rukmini, because she didn't normally do that. It just wasn't her thing. And he's like, I never get to see Rukmini angry. I never get to see that aspect of Rukmini's beauty. I never get to see the angry beauty. So let me push her and push and push. Let me push her buttons to make her angry. And she doesn't become angry. She just becomes devastated. And then he says, I was just trying to enjoy a little back and forth. Of course, once she hears that, you'll find she does enter into this argument. She says, well, you said this, but actually it's like this. So that will go on in this chapter. But Krishna was so pleased by her fainting and her devastation. And he says, you'll see as this chapter evolves, I'm always in your debt. So we should not think that pure devotional service and our eternal relationship with Krishna is something, as Prabhupada says, it's not narrow or stereotyped. The devotees are relishing the unfolding, surprising, mysterious, fascinating behavior of the Lord, which is not always predictable. And Krishna enjoys this in his devotees. This always unfolding fascination with the various facets of real personality. Now, even in our sadhana, we are not meant to be mechanical robots. We are meant to do our sadhana, as Raghunath Das Goswami says, like we are drinking nectar, to offer